Hey, TaxDome community, here's a full-blown 1040 pipeline for handling personal tax return prep. Throughout this walkthrough here, you'll see our template client, John Smith, in action. We've loaded multiple jobs just to kind of illustrate the client-facing status at every stage of this pipeline. One key thing to remember though, everything happens through auto move. You're simply marking tasks complete throughout this pipeline and it moves forward on its own, assigns tasks to your team, notifies client when they need to submit uploads, e-signatures, and much more. So this process should flow smoothly, making sure that you only have to step in at the important times, the key moments. So let's walk through it a little bit here. Step number one, client gets a status update, vet client, and set up in the tax software. So this is for me, the firm owner. I need to prepare this client's TaxDome profile, meaning, make sure that they're tagged as, whatever tags you're using. And I'll show you how we use our tags. Step number one, vet the client and kick it off. So once I say, hey, yeah, we're ready to, once you mark this as complete, the client gets an organizer in step number two. And I'm putting up my organizer in the TaxDome marketplace for free, so you could check out our 1040 organizer. It's a quick one, simple intake for collecting just the main details. Your marital status change, your address change, did you have any crypto transactions, and FBAR. Those are the things I like to ask because I don't like to ask too much at that stage of the organizer, the kickoff. Let's just get that out of the way. And then I move over to engagement letter. The different engagement letters I have set up. So there's a third party disclosure included here, the 7216. So you'll get that. The one I use, it has verbiage in there that says India. If you're using a different country for your offshore employees and they're doing tax, just edit that one word India in there in the template, and you'll see everything that once you download this into your TaxDome, you'll go to your templates and you'll see everything that says update marketplace template like this. I did that so that once you download this entire thing, you're going to have a bunch of templates in your firm templates. You just have to go in, or have somebody go in, and once they change whatever's highlighted, like an engagement letter, it doesn't, it just says firm name right now. You got to put your firm name to customize this so it works for you. And that's pretty much the only thing you'll have to do. And then once you do that, you just delete it. So we include our engagement letters here. These are engagement letters from the AI CPA that I use for 1040 prep. The way I grade my clients, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I send different engagement letters based on if they're A, B, C, D, or F client, and that's how we tag them. A clients, advisory, tax prep as well. For B clients, tax prep, and it's included in your subscription. So that's just the wording at the very end, included, or here it says, here's your fee. So those are the two engagement letters. But like for C clients, these are people that pay for prep, they're compliance only. For D, that's where I put free, friends and family, and they get one that says, included with your subscription. I definitely recommend still having, if you're doing your friends or family's tax returns, make them sign an engagement letter. I mean, that's the process if you want it for free. So, and then lastly, our F clients are file and fire, meaning we're doing this as a one-time thing, and then we're going to not roll you forward. So, so those are how we do the engagement letters. And you see, I like to get that out of the way right after we get their organizer, the short organizer, which you could download for free right now if you want to check that out. And then you'll get, the client will get an update pending action. We need you to e-sign your engagement letters. And as soon as they do that, it moves over to request files, request the forms that are missing, and invoice if they're an invoice client that we're going to send in, we're going to charge them for this and they're not a subscription client, then we get an alert here, send them an invoice. I collect full amount at this stage. You've already signed the engagement letter. We're ready for you to pay, and then we'll start tax preparation in stage 5. If you want to move that around, move it to the beginning, move it to the end, feel free. Once you download this template, this pipeline, you could move that stage on your own, no problem. That's what we do. We ask for it at this stage, and then once they send us the files. There's some task in there for my team to like organize the files a certain way. And then when it goes to stage 5, it's start tax preparation. This is where the, heavy lifting comes in. So start preparation at stage 5. There's the task there. Stage 6 is where we're doing the senior review, any additional requests that we're asking before we complete the return. And then it goes to stage 7, which is print to private tax. We do private folders in TaxDome and we name it private tax. That's where the deliverables will go so that the client doesn't see it yet. And then when it gets to stage 8, that's me. So you see wherever that finger is pointing at you, that's you. If you're the firm owner, this is where you get involved. Where did you get involved? You were involved in step 1, where you vet the client and set them up in your tax software, and then you send them down the road. Once they get to stage 8, that means your team the client did the engagement letter, organizer, uploaded their forms, you sent them an invoice, they paid it, your team worked on the prep, senior reviewed it, finalized it, your VA printed it, put it in a private folder. Now you come in at step number 8, which is why I really love this, is because then you come in and you review it. This is where you do your final review at stage 8. And if it looks good, you move it over to, you mark your task as complete. I reviewed it, and you can move those files from the private to the public folder if it looks good to you. And you're just marking task complete. So you're not having to manually manage this. Once you've reviewed it and you say, hey, it looks good, I put the files in the client's folder where they're visible, moves over to stage number 9, where it says share the results. And you send them the results of their return, and you tell them, hey, this is what, I need your banking information, or this is the information we have on file. You're getting a refund, you owe, this is your state, whatever it is. So once you do the share results thing, you also ask them for the 8879. Stage 10 changes the status. So along the way, the clients just see pending action in the beginning, and then it just says in progress. So it doesn't update at every little step from 4 to 9. The client doesn't see it going back and forth between you and your team. They just see in progress all the way up until you're asking them for the 8879 after you've shared the results. So I've used this before. I've tested it out. This is how our firm works, One Stop CPA. Those engagement letters are sourced from the AI CPA. So feel free to look at those. Edit them if you must. This has been the one that we're using, and it's the exact pipeline that I'm using at One Stop CPA, so to do our 1040s. And once it gets to stage 10, pending 8879, the client will get the alert. It's a task in there for somebody to request the e-signature and link it to the job. Once it's there, it basically stays there until the client e-signs it on their end. They could do that any time of the day, whether you're logged into TaxDome or not. And when they do e-sign, it's going to trigger it to auto move to stage 11. And that's you. So you see, you got your, the finger pointed at you. You have to submit the e-file now. You confirm everything is looking good, and now it's time to submit it. And once the IRS or the states or the state returns are accepted, you mark it as accepted. And it's literally at stage 13 where you're done. The client will get a status that says you're done. Everything has been submitted and accepted. All tasks have been completed. View the deliverable, share your feedback. Now, everything auto moves all the way to stage 13. I have a couple of extra stages here on the far right if you want to use them. So usually when you're done, you're going to have all your done clients in stage 13, and that's kind of where you do your roll forward for next year. But if you want, and you feel like you did a good job with this client, you want them to get an email that says, hey, I want you to leave us a Google review, you drag them there, and it will still keep it as saying done, but it will send them an email that says ask for Google review. And you see update marketplace template. When you download this pipeline from me in the marketplace, you're going to have to go to that email, and you'll see it's pretty easy. You just have to edit the link that I provided there with your Google review link. But that email will go out, And this helps you get Google reviews. Soon as somebody gets that, once they're done and you did a good job, send it to this status and they'll get that email that says, hey, leave us a good review if you liked what what we did. And this is, I think, the right time to do it. Also, sometimes, not every time, but you might run into a situation where the e-file got rejected because they have an identity theft pin. And again, this doesn't auto move. You have to grab it and move it here. So once you do that, it's going to send them a message that you got rejected. We need your identity theft pin and we're pending action from you. And I'll show you what that looks like because this happens. This is what the client gets. They get it as a chat. We need your IPIN to complete. You should have received this letter back in January, but if you don't have a copy, go ahead and click the link and you could get it from the IRS yourself. So getting ahead of it instead of, taking forever back and forth with the client, it's like, let's put this put the ball back in their court with just dragging it to that final stage. And you can go ahead and resubmit it and then drag it back over to, hey, we did submit it and it worked out. So that's how I use this pipeline, designed it, developed it with all these steps in mind so that you, the firm owner, can only have to get involved where you need to. Now, of course, when things get held up or if you're waiting on invoices, yeah, you're going to get involved somewhat here, but you're only getting involved to help push things over to other people. So that's why I really like it. Once you vet the client in stage 1, you jump back in at stage 8 to review everything. You share the results. The client has to e-sign. You submit it. It gets accepted. So why this pipeline works for me is because it makes the client intake, the tax prep, the e-filing, it keeps everyone informed throughout, automates the client communication so there's less back and forth like, hey, did you get my e-signature? Did you submit it? Was it accepted? We don't have to answer those questions. Or if they do have that question, we just go here to find out. It keeps your team informed of where things are, keeps your client informed, and most importantly, you firm owners are informed. So it saves you time. No need to build this from scratch. I've already done that. So when you download this, again, you'll see those placeholders that say update template, and you just have to update those with your firm details. You'll see it's highlighted, and then you're ready to go. Like I said, these engagement letters are from the AICPA. They're the ones that I've used for my firm, but you'll have to edit them. Of course, you'll have to read them, make sure that it makes sense for you before you send it to your clients. If you're a solo practitioner, my recommendation to you is not to eliminate any of these steps, but just keep them so you know that when you start prep and then you're doing your final review and your final production, if that's all you, that's okay. But these would be the stages that as you start to grow your team, this is where you're going to just move these tasks over to your team members. So you just reassign it. So if you run your firm differently, that's fine. Again, you can move the invoice to a different part of the stage, a different part of the process. You can change trigger points, change the status updates. But again, this is the exact pipeline we're using, One Stop CPA. It's been tested, refined, and designed to make my tax season smooth. And if it sounds like something that would work for you, you could go ahead and grab this in the TaxDome marketplace today. Anyway, thanks a lot.